How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? My name is RuffledRowlit, and welcome back to a brand new video. Today, guys, we're going to be taking a look at the massive, Gen 10 leaks that came out a while back over the last few months, and just kind of break down everything that we do know so far. Again, I don't have all the information because, unfortunately, a lot of this stuff was either deleted because Nintendo and stuff came after it, or a lot of it was kind of scattered, so it's a little bit hearsay of what is real and what isn't. So I thought we'd take a look at this really great sort of recap over on PokeOS.com. Best Pokemon website if you're looking for it, pokeos.com/p/terraleak/recap. You're going to be able to find all the information right there. But basically what they're talking about is essentially an entire breakdown of just a big recap of all the stuff that we know about Gen 10, Gen 11, and even some Legends games. But again, fair warning, even what they say, this is all just, stuff that's already out there. Again, I'm just talking about stuff that's already been leaked. That's exactly what they're doing here too. We're not going to be leaking it ourselves. We're not leaking anything. It's not like we have any information to leak. It's just info that's already publicly out there, and I thought we'd just recap it. So, starting things off is this image right here. Now, I've blurred some stuff, so please just be okay with that. I'm sorry I have to do it. But basically, what you have right here is a timeline picture that basically shows the timeline of upcoming games, right? Like projects they had in mind, what the timeline was for them, and stuff like that. So the timeline looked as follows, right? It had Pokemon. I think this went on for about this was a timeline for the next 4 or 5 years of games, right? So the first one is, of course, Pokemon Wind and Wave. If you do not know, that is the rumored, but also at this point, kind of confirmed name for the next Pokemon games. Pokemon Wind and Wave, that's kind of the confirmed name as far as we're aware. But basically, Pokemon Wind and Wave is going to be Generation 10, right? That's the next generation of Pokemon. And for those of you who do not understand the difference between a Pokemon, regular game that's part of a generation and a new generation is usually the beginning of, a new kind of era, right? So an example of that would be Pokemon Sword and Shield, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, Pokemon Sun and Moon, Pokemon X and Y, Pokemon Black and White, Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, and so on and so forth. Those are new generations, right? That's when you start a brand new generation of games where it's kind of hard to quantify it. It's not simply saying oh, it's when the new console comes out, because that's not true. You can have more than one generation on a single console, but usually you have about 1 to 2 generations per console. Usually 2. I would say 2 generations per console, right? An example of that would be the Switch 1 had Gen 8 and Gen 9, so Sword and Shield and Scarlet and Violet. And every game that comes out in between there is part of that generation, right? So, for example, even Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, even though it came out on the Switch first, right? It didn't come out on the, didn't come out on the DS or anything, or 3DS or anything. That is still a Gen 7 game. It's not part of Generation 8, which is Sword and Shield. So that's what I'm trying to say is the console doesn't matter. It's generationally, it's when they introduce a brand new region with a bunch of new Pokemon and stuff like that. That's usually a new generation, right? A brand new generation to kick off things. So we are at this point leading up to the 10th generation. So that's what Wind and Wave would be, right? It would be Gaia, it would be the next gen. And also, they already confirmed in this giant document here that they already have DLC planned, okay? Just like they have with Scarlet and Violet, they had DLC already planned and already made, was already prepared, and it was for the year after. And the same thing here. For Generation 10, they already have DLC for 2027. So 2026, you have new generation next year. Follow that up with DLC, right? However, there is something else here, which is Pokémon Legends Galar, which is really weird, but it's not that crazy, because even the fact that we got Legends ZA was a weird one. That shouldn't have happened. We shouldn't have gotten ZA of all things. It just didn't make sense at first, but we got it. So Legends Galar might seem super what the hell is this, dude? But it can happen, all right? It can happen because originally there were documents in here that were hinting at them actually wanting to do a Legends Johto game, except they got scrapped and they made ZA and they went for Legends Galar instead. That's what ended up happening, which makes me disappointed. But at the same time, given ZA and how that game is, I'm kind of happy we didn't get a Johto, because I want them to try harder with something like Johto, okay? Johto has so many things they can do so great about it in the Legends game. So much history, so much stuff like that. So I want them to really put effort into it. Either way. But yeah, so according to this, though, that means that we would get 2 things in 2027. That being Legends Galar, and on top of that, my alarm, and on top of that, we'd get DLC. So that would be 2 things. A full game and DLC for the last generation, right? But then again, it does say 2027 or later. So there's always a chance it could be in 2028. But we'll see. Then they also talk about Pokemon Scene. Now, this could be canceled, but this was rumored to be essentially like a Pokemon MMO, like an actual Pokemon MMO. Like, if you don't know what MMO stands for, because maybe some of you guys are younger and you just don't know these terminologies. But basically, an MMO is a massive multiplayer online game, right? Or an MMORPG usually is a massive multiplayer online role-playing game, right? That's something like World of Warcraft, Guild Wars 2, Final Fantasy 14, etc. You know, stuff like that. Elder Scrolls Online, if you will. And the thing is, we never had a Pokemon MMO, like an actual official one. Like, we never got that, which is a little sad, but apparently Pokemon Scene was supposed to be something like that. At least that's sort of what they talked about it like. However, here they call it a multi-region remake planned for 2028 or beyond. Again, we don't know if this is still in development. We don't know if it's been canceled. We don't know if it's going to return or if it's going to happen or not. Like, we literally do not know, frankly speaking, anything about this, okay? We know zero about it, which is really unfortunate, but what can you say? Either way, then they talk about the next thing, which is on the list here, which we now know about, which is Pokopia. Yes, Pokopia was planned for 2025 with a DLC in 2026. However, as you guys have seen, a lot of delays have happened. Something happened at some point in development. Something happened some point with all of like Pokemon. Like literally everything internally changed at some point in the last like 2 years that kind of threw everything into like this mess of them having to delay stuff, which is really odd. And the rumor of that is that it was because of, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was because of Pal World. Apparently, Pal World had some really weird impact on Game Freak and just Nintendo, and almost like kind of sort of kicked them into gear of like, oh shit, we might have to try a bit harder because people are giving this thing attention and all that, right? Which, if true, I think is a positive. I think, and what it doesn't matter how you feel about Pal World, whether you like it, dislike it. I don't give a shit, honestly. I don't care what you feel about it. Doesn't matter to me. If you like the game, you like the game. If you don't like the game, you don't like the game. I frankly think Pal World is more similar to Ark Survival Evolved than it is actually Pokemon. Like, it feels way less like Pokemon and far more like Ark Survival Evolved. But that's besides the point. I don't care what you feel about it, but what I do think is good is that there are things coming out that are shit, fuck it, let's just say it, copies of Pokemon. We need copies of Pokemon. We need things to constantly like challenge them, to take a little bit of their market share away, take a little bit of tension away from them. You have to have that, because if there's no competition for Pokemon, if they legitimately were to like be the only company that makes any form of monster capturing or RPG type game, dude, we would have the worst fucking like industry ever. No, we need games to constantly challenge Pokemon, to make them work harder, to make better stuff, to make better games, to improve, to just try to be more creative, have more fun with it, make better games. I just think it's a good thing. I think them being kicked in the ass, even like slightly, I genuinely personally don't see how Pal World would have really scared them that much, but apparently, again, this is just stuff I've heard. This is just rumors that I've heard. Again, don't take this as like the end all be all, but I thought I would mention that though. And then that's like, again, you know, interesting here that Pokopia was meant to come out this year, but it's coming out next year. And it's going to be a paid game, and it's going to be a game key card game, so you're not even going to be getting like a physical copy, which is unfortunate. But yeah. Either way, Pokemon Champions was originally planned for 2025 as well, but also got delayed and restructured. So that's interesting because we know that's coming out next year, but I don't know, do we have a release date? I don't think we have a release date for that, do we? Let's see. Pokemon Champions. Let's see. Release date. Let's see if we have a release date. No, just 2026. So we don't have an actual release date yet, which is interesting that they haven't said that yet. But I'm guessing Pokemon Day, which is, by the way, on the 27th of February next year, is when Pokemon Day is. Whenever you're watching this, it's basically just in 2026. So that's just all you need to know. So we're going to get the announcement of Pokemon Champions on Pokemon Day itself, most likely when it's releasing, which is not that crazy. And of course, Gen 10 being revealed. Either way, next up, Pokémon Legends ZA. So of course, we know about this because the game has already been out. But Legends ZA originally was scheduled to release in late 2024, so it was supposed to come out last year, with the DLC planned for the second half of 2025, the DLC that we now have. The timeline, though, confirms that the project faced significant delays during development, ultimately leading to a postponed release. Recently, the long-rumored beta build, and yes, that beta build was, I think still is out there publicly. You can actually go and play this, you know, early version, if you want to call it that, like this beta version of the game is actually available to be played. So yeah, it's literally out there. If you haven't already seen it, you can definitely go and look it up if you want to. I'm not going to be linking anything myself, but there is a beta version, an early build of the game that was stolen from their server. Which has led to leaked last year, but it never fully was shared, has finally surfaced, revealing fascinating behind-the-scenes details and major differences from the final version. One of the most striking discoveries is the complete removal of rideable Pokemon. Early beta footage shows the player riding a Go-Goat through the city streets or gliding using flying-type Pokemon such as Talonflame. So yes, we were supposed to have Go-Goat in the game, rideable. We were supposed to be able to glide around the game. But no, the animations were still rough and unpolished, but clearly indicated that the development team was exploring the traversal systems similar to that of Legends Arceus, and then they removed it. Also, the battle system in the beta was also far more experimental than what we see today. In addition to the real-time combat, it featured a targeting reticle that allowed a player to manually aim their Pokemon's attack, which that would have been sick, dude. This mechanic was likely scrapped because it made the gameplay significantly more complex, requiring players to manage both timing and accuracy during battles. Now, I know that a lot of Pokemon fans are like, no, I did not want that. I just want... Okay, that's fine. I get it. I would have personally loved that. I think that like an aiming mechanic would have been so much fun because then you're actually the one in control of the Pokemon itself. Like, I think that's something I've always wanted from Pokemon, is a game where you genuinely are in control of the Pokemon. You do the attacks, you do the dodging and stuff. That would have made it fun. Right now, I actually am not like the biggest hater of the combat system in ZA. I think it's pretty fun, but I do think it's kind of like it just isn't really doing enough to like, it's like they're just dipping their toes into the water of like what they could do, but just being like, I'm just gonna go back over here, dog. Like it's just, they just, I don't know, it just feels like they didn't fully commit, which I think that would have done it. And I hope that the next Legends games fully commits, okay? Because I keep the generational games just turn-based. I think that's fine. I think the next generation, so Winds and Waves, that game should just stay turn-based, which I think it is, by the way, based on the leaks and stuff. Apparently it's gonna stay turn-based. However, they're gonna make like the actual turn-based battles more similar to Arceus. We'll get to that soon because literally the next thing we're going to talk about. But I do hope that like they try to experiment more with Legends Galar and make actually you control the Pokemon and do the aiming and targeting. That would be so much fun. By the way, they continue here saying this mechanic was likely scrapped because the gameplay was far more complex. Data miners also found traces of several mini games that could be played within the city, though these features never made it to the final release, which again, why is that not there? I don't know. Either way, visually, the beta offered a glimpse at a much more detailed urban environment. That's the big one that people have been, the big drama thing online, right? Is the fact that, yes, there was actually better looking buildings, properly textured and modeled, right? Because like right now, all you have is a flat surface with just a texture on it, which by the way, hey, I've been messing around in Blender, I've been messing with 3D, and I now know that that's very easy to do, okay? You just have your mesh, shove a fucking material on there and that's it, okay? Just boom, right? Of course, you know, if it's a complex model, you have to UV map and all that kind of stuff. Either way, my point is that like, it's surprising that they had these fully modeled like balconies and all this stuff, and they decided to not use it. And most likely, as they say here, it is for performance reasons, which is interesting because that makes me wonder, was this originally planned just to be a Switch 1 game and then eventually became a Switch 2 game? Is that maybe where like the discrepancy happens? Or was it meant to be a Switch 2 game, but maybe potentially delays happen, and because of that, they had to release it on both? I don't know. I'm very curious to know what the deal is there. But apparently it was a clear visual downgrade from the team's initial ambition, which this is why I don't blame, you know, Game Freak fully for all this stuff, because something is happening from the higher ups here. Something's happening because these people are clearly talented. I don't think the people working at Game Freak are idiots. I think they're smart and talented people, but something is happening internally that's constantly forcing them to like, they want to do shit good. They want to make good shit, but they're constantly being bogged down by something. What that something is, I don't know. Perhaps most surprisingly, though, an early 4 versus 4 multiplayer mode in ZA closely resembling Splatoon in both mechanics and style. This detail immediately caught the attention of fans familiar with Project Synapse, and yes, Project Synapse is another thing that, by the way, it's an entirely another spin-off Pokemon game, which we don't know anything about. I think it's cancelled. An internal Game Freak prototype described in a very similar way, suggesting that some of its IDs may have been repurposed for Legends ZA early in its development phase, which, yeah, that seems to be the case. Again, it's just, you know, what can we really say more about this? Like, I don't even know. Like, I don't even know what else we can really say about it. But What I will say, though, is the fact that, like, I don't know, man. It's just unfortunate because I really do feel like we could have easily had, like, you know, far more, like, just cool stuff in this game and far less, you know, all this, like, angriness about it, the game. And, you know, we could have had, like, overall a better game, in my opinion, if it wasn't for the fact that, like, they just decided to do something. They decided to just stop all these ideas they had and just decided, like, hey, you know what? Let's just cut it all out and keep this simple. And just remove a lot of these aspects, but it is what it is. Either way, moving on to the next thing, though, we have this right here. Now, this, ladies and gentlemen, is Pokemon Winds and Waves Gen 10. Yes, so now we're finally getting into the Gen 10 stuff. So here's what they say. The long-awaited Generation 10 Pokemon titles are reportedly set to release in the second half of 2026, with a DLC expansion planned for 2027. After months of speculation, it now seems that the official titles will be indeed Pokemon Wind and Pokemon Wave, names that were previously dismissed as mere fan theories, but yes, it has been confirmed now by the leaks, and also we even had, like, images, like actual gameplay. Now, according to, and that's one of these images right here. Now, actually, for this image, graphically, the game looks, like, actually decent, but again, it's just a tech demo, essentially, right? It's just a technical test to see what a jungle would look like. And dude, I'm excited, man. I'm excited about having a Pokemon, like, a Pokemon game with an actual, like world to explore that isn't just open field, fellas. Open field. Hey, you enjoy open fields with nothing to do? Like, I really love the idea of, like, I've always wanted a Pokemon game that has, like, a straight up, like, a bunch of jungles and stuff to explore. I don't know, it always reminds me of, like, the opening scenes from, like, the Pokemon Mewtwo Strikes Back movie. It always reminds me of that for some reason. Always wanted to have something like that. But anyway, they continue on, though, and say the following, which is, according to newly surfaced internal documents, the original setting for Winds and Waves was inspired by Indonesia and Southeast Asia. Now, this contradicts earlier reports suggesting a Greek-based region, but multiple sources, including well-known insider Ku, have confirmed that the Indonesian concept is the accurate one. Which, I mean, okay, we're all on board for that one, baby. We're all on board for that one, okay? By the way, they continue on, though, and say that apparently, this is the following stuff, right? Box legendary. So, central to the news story are two legendary Pokemon that serve as the mascots for each version. One representing Storm, which is Wind, and the other representing Water, Wave, right? And the Storm legendary, known in the early design notes as the Elder Guardian, lives alone on a remote storm-swept island said to possess the power of the wind. I don't know if it's just me, this sounds a bit like Lugia, but okay. It guides humans and Pokemon alike towards the right path, but only accepts those who have properly nurtured a certain seed Pokemon. And this seed Pokemon is like a whole thing we're going to talk about in a second. By the way, meanwhile, the Wave Legendary, referred to as the Elder Matriarch, resides on an island untouched by humankind, using the calm yet powerful force of the ocean, and it also guides lost souls, I guess that's more Lugia, lost souls towards balance and understanding. Like its counterpart, it acknowledges only those trainers who have shown kindness and caring in raising their seed Pokemon. And this is the question then. What is a seed Pokemon? What is this thing? And also, you'll notice some of these images are gone now. Like, some of these images are literally gone because they have been struck down. What they say, though, is legends say that this, so at the heart of the story lies a unique seed Pokemon. Think Nebby, right? Think Nebby. That's essentially what I'm assuming this seed Pokemon is. It's a small baby-like creature that players encounter at the beginning of their adventure in a sunny coastal resort area. Though it is considered rare, it is not a mythical. Locals claim to see it occasionally, yet no one has ever witnessed its evolution. Legends say that this Pokemon begins to evolve only when brought to the island where the legendary Storm and Wave dwell. Its evolution is described as having infinite possible forms, each shaped by how players train and bond with it and nurture it, throughout their journey. Now, this Pokemon is a rare Pokemon that lives only on this island. It seems that when it evolves, flowers bloom, but no one has ever seen it. However, according to legend, it is said to have an infinite forms. Gameplay-wise, the seed Pokemon serves as the key to progression. Players must raise it to a certain level to unlock access to the island where the main legendary Pokemon resides. The island itself is procedurally generated, which I am so curious to see how they're going to pull off procedural generation. For the love of God, they should not be, that should be doable, man. Like, that should be so doable. They should definitely be able to do that. Now, its environment changing based on how developed and emotionally bonded the seed Pokemon is. I'm so curious to see what that's going to be like. The evolution of the seed Pokemon is also procedurally generated, featuring unique floral and fractal patterns, meaning every player's final form will be completely unique. I am so curious about this because there has also been, by the way, some documents that showed that yes, Game Freak was messing around with generative AI. Okay, so that's something you have to understand. They were messing around with it. I wonder if this would be related to that. Because here's the thing. AI in video games, and I'm not talking about today's AI where it's just people generating like slop. I'm talking about like AI in video games has always been a thing, because how do you think enemies operate? Enemies are AI. They're run by like an AI, you know, well, bot in this case, right? We usually call them bots in games, right? If you play Counter-Strike, you play against a bot, it's a robot. It's it's literally has a set structure of what it's supposed to do, right? It's an AI. It learns, and it's been taught by, you know, literally just giving it a bunch of data, how it's supposed to act and do things, right? As similarly as to a player. And in the same way, that stuff has been used in games a lot. However, there have been actually like a bunch of stuff in these files that showed, not a bunch of stuff, but there was a few things, right, about specifically them using, like generating some images with AI, and it was like, ooh, this ain't looking too good, chief. So I do hope that this, when they say like generating, like, you know, featuring unique fractal patterns, like basically procedurally generating them, I think there's no issue with that, because when you're procedurally generating something, right, what you do is you create a massive data set, right? So imagine, okay, so this is, I'll give you an example right here. You guys see this giant Pikachu, right? Now this Pikachu thingy, I have a bunch of different faces on it, right? Here he's got a little face like that. And here he's like, you know, like got a similar thing. Now he's just regular smile. Here he's Angie. Now, imagine that this is what they create, right? They created a little square or big square filled with a bunch of different faces, right? And then what happens is when you play the game, imagine that you have maybe like 5 of these these squares, right? And then the game is gonna randomize. Oh, okay, so you get the angry Pikachu, then the next square goes oh, and you also get let's say this was colored, you know, yellow, green, blue, whatever. Oh, you get blue. Okay, so you got the angry face blue Pikachu. Just to give you a bit of an idea what that would kind of work like, as opposed to them just like AI generating a bunch of different Pokemon for us to have. Because if that's the case, oh, I think they're gonna get so much flack for it. But I do think procedural generation is something that's existed in video games for the longest time. Minecraft uses this. Everything uses this. It's a common thing. It's not crazy. However, I just hope they don't rely on it in a sense to create the actual world you explore, because I want handcrafted worlds that are interesting with depth and things to do. So we'll see how that goes. By the way, they then say that this system ties directly into the game's overarching theme of growth and harmony and balance between humans and nature, reinforcing the emotional and personal connection at the heart of Pokemon Winds and Waves. Which is fine. Now, characters, and this is the list of a bunch of different characters. So, protagonist, it's aged 13, so that's the person we play as. A city kid from a large metropolis, believed to be inspired by Kuala Lumpur. Their mother wins a vacation trip through a lottery, which sets the story in motion. Then you've got the actual mother, who's 33, a work-from-home parent raising 2 children in the city. It's crazy to me to think now that I am closer to the mother character in these games than I am to, like, the actual protagonist. Like, I am so old. Dude, I'm saying I'm so old. I bet I've got like somebody who's like 50 watching this video, and they probably feel like, God damn it, man. He say he old at 27? Gosh darn it, dude. Yeah, by the way, back to the point. It's basically the mother is a work-from-home parent raising 2 children in the city. She decides to take a long vacation after winning the lottery, hoping to relax and reconnect with her family. Then there's a baby, apparently, age 0. This is the protagonist's infant sibling who cannot walk at the beginning of the game. By the end of the story, the baby learns to walk and talk, a symbolic representation of growth and the future, which is fine. That doesn't sound crazy or like super bad, like a plot line. Now, or like an underlying theme, rather. Then, friend and rival, age 13, a local child who lives on the resort island where the player visits, acts as both a friend and rival, showing deep knowledge of nature and Pokemon. The design and dialogue reportedly differ depending on the player's chosen, I guess, gender in this case. I think that's what they're saying, right? I'm assuming, like, I don't know what else it could be referring to. I'm assuming that's what they're referring to. But either way, let's see, where else are we? Hotel chairman, the design, okay. So, hotel chairman, age 75. So, a wealthy chairman of a nationwide resort chain. He once dreamed of harmony between humans and Pokemon, but after a tragic incident involving his family, his ideals shifted towards aggressive land development and resentment towards Pokemon, which I guess he's going to be the big baddie. Again, not that crazy, I guess, looking for a plot line. Then his heir, right, who's going to take over the family. Age 15, the chairman's younger son or adopted child who will serve in leadership role within the organization. Naive but well-intentioned, he respects his fathers deeply while struggling to understand the world's complexities. Then land development team, this is the evil team, right? A construction group hired to expand land for profit. Unlike previous villainous teams, they lack strong ideals. They simply do their job for money, often complaining about their work. Okay, so we're getting another, like, yeah, another Pokemon team that isn't actually evil. It's just dudes doing their job. Dude, they're making construction workers into the villains. That's sorry. What? What is happening, bro? Where's my crazy Maxie who just wants to turn everything into land? Or Archie wants like everything to be water. Like, dude, where's my too much water? What's happening, bro? Why are we making construction workers like into the bad guys? Like, I get like the construction company, right? But why the construction workers? Like, dude's like, dude, John's just coming into the office like, oh man, me and Machop gotta build that new house down on Tulu Streets. You see all those Pikachus? Hey man, I make my shit hard, dude. Make my job hard. Wait, hard. Pause. All right, hold up. What did I just say? Either way, it's kind of funny though. Professor is age 21, known as the Survival Professor. Okay, so we're getting interesting professor name or title. This young researcher works as a nature guide at the hotel. He studies the relationship between weather patterns and Pokemon capable of embodying the forces of nature. Although academically talented, his real-world survival skills are surprisingly limited compared to those of his more experienced colleagues. So he just has the title but doesn't know shit. All right, according to the latest leaks though, Pokemon Wind and Wave is reportedly being developed with a budget of around 3 billion yen, which is approximately $20 million, making it one of the most expensive mainland projects to date. Keep in mind, Scarlet and Violet also cost about 20 million, so it's not like that crazy. But again, the game is said to be the first to use the brand new Pokemon Engine X. Now, this is the big deal, okay? So this is a big deal. This is a next-generation engine designed specifically for the Pokemon series, and early internal demos mentioned in the leak documentation suggest major visual improvements, and we can see that for some of the images that have came out. Now, we don't have these images here because they've been essentially just deleted from the internet, but these images show, for one, smoother animation. We do also see the graphics looking definitely better than what we've seen in the past, and better lighting as well. Like, they actually look like they are like using, I'm pretty sure it's like dynamic lighting in these ones, right? In these images, if I'm not crazy, and more natural environmental interactions. Now, one of these most exciting aspects is that all Pokemon in the game world appear to be interactable, and many are rideable, apparently, right? Bringing back and expanding on the traversal mechanics seen in Legends Arceus. Now, this suggests a more open and dynamic world where players can freely explore land, air, and sea using their Pokemon partners. Interestingly, Pokemon Wind and Wave seem to be featuring a non-linear progression structure, and this is a big deal in my opinion. Once the player gains the ability to travel across the ocean, they can challenge the final boss immediately, and this is what I wanted Scarlet and Violet to do, okay? This is what I wanted Scarlet and Violet to do. You can instantly go and try to take on the final boss of the game and finish the game right away. Like, that's actual freedom. Like, give us real freedom. Because the thing I don't like about Scarlet and Violet is that sort of, you're still kind of guided to go in certain directions and do certain things. You can never get to the game's credits without doing everything that's set out for you. You have to do all these things. There is no ifs and buts. You have to do everything to get the credit screen, right? You have to do all these things. And sure, you have like a little bit of a leeway to go here or there, but realistically, the game kind of still wants to guide you in certain directions because still things are going to be certain levels. It's not scaling to you or anything, right? So yeah, if successful, the player can then actually see the game credits early, though it is believed there will be extensive post-game content to discover afterwards. Now, these features collectively hint at a more player-driven adventure, and that's what I want, okay? Emphasizing exploration, freedom, and emotional storytelling, marking what could be the most ambitious leap yet for the Pokemon series, which I really hope, dude. I really hope it is, because ZA did not inspire any confidence in me. Scarlet and Violet, it kind of, again, it's that standard thing of Pokemon. 1 step forward, 5 steps back, or like they're just dipping their toes. They're never committing fully. Like, I want them to fully commit to it, like make a grand adventure, right? That's what a new generation is meant to do from the biggest franchise in the world. That's what you're supposed to do. But that's the stuff on Gen 10. Now, there is more stuff, but for that, I will have to dive through an obscene amount of like actual Discord servers and stuff to find all these leaks, because there is a ton of leaks. I really mean it. There's an obscene amount of them, okay? There's just so many. The only issue is that there's just so many that it's hard to know what is real, what we can believe, what we can't believe. Like, there's a lot of it. So just keep that in mind, right? Like, it's very hard for me to be able to tell you, exactly everything, because it's legitimately just an ocean of information. That's why I'm using Pokeolus's like breakdowns here, because it's the closest thing to the most, I guess, like consistent place to look at for info, because most of the other stuff is just, it's just too much, okay? It's like, it's too much of stuff that doesn't really matter, or leaks that are not related to what we're actually, like, you know, what's actually happening. It's just too much, like, you know, noise in between the actual stuff that you care about. So keep that in mind, right? Again, we'll go through the next thing, though, which is going to be Pokemon Legends Ho-Oh and Lugia, which was a scrapped game. So yes, it's a real thing. It was planned, but it got completely shuttered. So Legends Ho-Oh and Lugia scrapped. Now this, before the development shifted to Legends ZA, Game Freak initially planned to set the second entry in the Legends series in Johto. The project, internally referred to as Pokemon Legends Ho-Oh and Pokemon Legends Lugia, was conceived as a dual version release to celebrate the 25th anniversary of Pokemon Gold and Silver in 2024, titled Pokemon Tales of Then and Now. The game was envisioned as a historical episode exploring the origins of Pokemon trainers set in a time before the concept of trainers even existed. The protagonist, a character who had fallen through time, again, would command Pokemon directly in order to revive 3 legendary creatures tied to Johto's lore. We already know what those 3 would be. One of the key story locations was the Burnt Tower, depicted in its original form before the Great Fire that destroyed it 150 years ago. In this era, it was said to have been a 9-story tower, identical in structure to the Bell Tower, hinting at a deep mythological connection between the two. Ultimately, the concept was reworked into what became Pokemon Legends ZA, with the setting shifted from Johto to Kalos, marking a new direction for the series, which I am both disappointed, but also maybe a little bit like, all right, maybe we dodged a bullet on that one. But again, I would have loved to see what this would have been. And we're never going to get that one, at least for now. Next up, though, is Legends 3, which is Galar. Now, project codenamed Ringo is being developed by Game Freak's prototype development division as a candidate for the next Legends title. It takes place in Galar, 1,000 years before the modern era, long before the invention of Poké Balls. It's basically set in an ancient civilization, and this one is still in development, by the way. This one is still probably happening. Like, Legends Galar is still probably happening, unless, of course, ZA sells like really poorly, which I don't think it is. I think it did well enough that they're gonna like do another one. Let's see, Legends ZA sales counts. I think it like I think the last time I reported was like 5.8 million. So yeah, ZA sold. Okay, so far, right, in the same amount of time that ZA came out and that Arceus came out, it has sold less than Arceus did in the same amount of time, apparently. Again, I could be wrong about this data because it's a little inconsistent, but 5.8 million, and apparently so far, they're reporting now that it's actually underperformed. It is not sold as good as they expected. Half of the purchases that were made for ZA, like half the purchases were made on Switch 2, which that in itself might not sound like a big deal, but it really is if you think about it, given the fact that like there is 150 million people that have a Switch 1, right? 150 million people. There are only like, I think 10 million people that have a Switch 2, right? And if you sold, let's say, okay, 5.8 million, let's say it's 6 million right now, 6 million copies, and half of those are in Switch 2, that means you have 147 million people that didn't give a shit about this game and buy it on the Switch 1, as opposed to, compared to like Arceus or really any of the other games, right? Like Scarlet and Violet, Sword and Shield, even Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. Those, I mean, again, this is only like a few months now after release. Again, if you give this game like another 2 years of time, it may catch up. Obviously, like it will still need some time. It's not going to instantly be like, hey, we instantly sold 20 million. Sheesh, easy peasy, lemon squeezy, you know? Of course not. But it is a little concerning, though, for the Legends series, because if you want more Legends games, they need to sell good. And if they don't sell good, they're not going to make more of them. So that's the only thing that kind of puts like Legends Galar sort of into like, is it still happening? Is it still going to be a thing? The only thing that puts it sort of into a little bit of a kind of situation. But I'm assuming it's still being made, because ZA still, even if it only sells 6 million copies, that's still a decent chunk of copies, okay? That's still a decent chunk of sales, but we'll see, right? Now, set in an ancient civilization where humans and Pokemon coexist without formal trainers, players will befriend Pokemon in the wild, forming groups and alliances to battle against enormous Dynamax Pokemon. Still not the biggest fan of Dynamaxing. I still think it's one of the worst Pokemon like gimmicks that they've made. I just think it's boring. I like just, oh, massive Pokemon, yippee. Not biggest fan of that, but then again, that's just me. That's just me being an old head weirdo. People like it, that's fine. Now, I do like the idea, though, that we're not actually capturing Pokemon balls. We're actually just forming teams, which I think is pretty interesting. Now, the game's central theme is AI x physics, focusing on Pokemon behavior, group dynamics, and large-scale environmental interactions. Players explore Galar's primeval landscapes, vast, untouched territories shaped by nature, and use their Pokemon's unique abilities to survive and rebuild society. Okay, a key objective in the story is to create the various first Gigantamax Poké Balls. Using local materials and ancient crafting techniques, concept art shows early prototype of sealing stones and primitive containment devices forged by hand, hinting at how Pokeball technology actually began. Now, Pokémon Legends Galar is currently targeted for a release in 2027 or later, following the debut of Pokemon Wind and Wave and its DLC. So we'll see how that's going to shape up, if it's going to be the same year as 2027 or later. Then we have the multi-region online remix of the MMO game that everybody talks about, codenamed Seed. Now, this ambitious project is being developed by Game Freak's experimental development division as a next-generation online Pokemon game prototype, right? Now, it's set in a massive interconnected world that bridges Kanto, Johto, Hoenn, Sinnoh, and Kitakami of all places. Project Seed aims to fulfill a long-standing fan dream, which is a multi-region Pokemon game where players can travel across regions and explore them seamlessly. Now, this game's concept emphasizes online multiplayer exploration, allowing multiple players to coexist and interact in real time within a living shared Pokemon world. Players will then traverse expansive landscapes inspired by real geography of Japan, from Hoenn's southern seas to Sinnoh's northern mountains, connected through a vast new region that ties them together. Described as a prototype for a next-generation online Pokemon experience, Project Seed could represent the franchise's first true step towards an MMO-style evolution, combining exploration, social interaction, and open-world freedom across multiple regions. Which, again, I'd love this, okay? I play Poke MMO, which is like a fan-run Pokemon MMO game, and I play other games like that, Pokemon World Online, Poke One, Pokemon Revolution. I've played so many of these. I've always wanted them to like genuinely make one of these like of their own. Like, I've always wanted that, but we've never gotten that. Like, we've never actually gotten that. So it'd be so cool if we finally got that. Like, if we finally actually got that. But yeah, that's neither here nor there now, is it? Next up, though, is a really big one. This one was the most surprising one, right? Which is Generation 11, which I know is going to be like, whoa, 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 whoa. We only just talked about Gen 10. What do you mean Generation 11? Well, apparently, there is also in these files, in these documents, the project codenamed Project 2030. Now, this initiative marks the beginning of the development for Pokemon Generation 11, which is currently being prototyped alongside ongoing production of Pokemon Gaia, which is Gen 10. According to internal Game Freak documentation, Generation 11 is planned for release in 2030, and it's described as the next major numbered entry in the mainline Pokemon series. Development is being handled by a joint team composed of members from the Research and Development Division, the R&D Division, and the Concept and Visual Studio, indicating a strong focus on both technological innovation and artistic direction. The team formation for Project 2030 began this fiscal year, with many key staff working across both Gen 10 and Gen 11 simultaneously, signaling an early stage of the major next leap for the Pokemon franchise. And that's as far as they go into there. I don't think they mentioned anything else here besides that, but I think that kind of gives you some idea. But yeah, so that's some of the stuff. I think we've gone through the actual stuff that's about like Gen 10 and all that. And again, I will make another follow-up video to this if I can dig up all the files. This is just a quick video before like the holidays, because I gotta get going, fellas. I'm traveling to see family and stuff for New Year's, so I'm not gonna be here. Hence why I had to just kind of do the fast one. And thankfully, PokeOS put together this big, beautiful like recap here to go through a lot of this stuff. But like I said, there are places where people have collected a bunch of stuff, and I want to go through those places eventually and sort of like give you guys a big rundown of everything that's been like everything that's came out, like every single leak. The problem is just that it's so hard to find it because I have to literally skim through, I shit you not, like an endless supply of actual like leaks, like genuinely like an endless supply. There's even stuff I'm looking at here, like an actual leak of so far back, like a leak from like last year. The full Pokemon Advanced Generation anime series is not completely subbed in English, so like literally people like sharing stuff on these servers of like, you know, just them translating stuff from like old episodes. Like, I'd have to go through a bunch of stuff. Like, even here, there's like, you know, stuff from episodes, like not translations, but like even like leaked stuff. It's just a lot, okay? It's just a lot. So I'd have to go scroll through, I really mean it, like hours of actual, hours of actual like posts and stuff to find these things. So again, bear with me. I will do that before Pokemon Day. I will have a lot of this like just nicely kind of tucked together into one big video that will be pretty long. I'm not gonna lie, it's gonna be a pretty long video, but I'll have that like ready for you guys very, very soon. So for now, that's all we got. I'm going to be scrolling down here, seeing if I can like quickly find something else to mention that hasn't already been brought up. Though I think for the most part, I've shared most of the important stuff right now. I'm just going through right now, trying to see if I can find anything from like, I want to say like it was October, sorry. It was in October that all the leaked stuff happened. So I'm trying to quickly go through here before we end the video to see if I can find anything else. Because I think there was some stuff that came out right around then that we can actually share really quickly. Just have to scroll really fast down all this. Let's see if I can find it. And let's see, I think this is like right before around the leaks, when the leaks took place. So, okay, I found it. So I am looking literally right now at a bunch of these like actual like leaks that took place, like actual files. So there's even like pictures of like a bunch of the concept art that you can see and the stuff like that. Again, you're gonna have to like look this stuff up yourself. I can't show it on screen, obviously, for obvious reasons, because I don't want to get in trouble. But there is a bunch of pictures you can find. Again, like these pictures are out there, so feel free to look for them. And that's pretty much gonna be my video on this for now. Again, just want to do a quick video. I say quick, it's like 40 minutes, but I want to just do something fast to talk about this. But yeah, that's it for me. I'll be back in, well, soon, I hope, right? I'm gonna be starting off next year, 2026, with a big video going through all of this stuff again. So this is just a video precursor to that one. That video is probably gonna be like an hour long, but once I get to it. But anyway, that's pretty much it. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out and bye bye, ladies and gentlemen.